Hey everybody, it's Commander Clyde. Welcome back to another patch notes video. Before we get to the main one, we're going to stop at the bonus update. It's going to be live next week. First off, here's a few skins. Not a big deal. First bonus balance here. Fighter's Mask getting Nerf, obviously, because it's a big staple right now in the solo lane. And basically everyone is getting it, so turn that down a little bit. Sundering Axe, of course, is the next value item people go for. Once you get Fighter's Mask, then this is usually going to be your starter. And what they have done here is decrease the base bonus damage from the item's passive from 5 to 3% of the target's current health. 2% of the owner's protection scaling is unchanged. So I want to bring it down just a little bit. Soul Gem is a staple item. They've decreased the heal from the item's passive from 40 to 30% magical power scaling. Ickfall decreased power steal from the item's passive from 15 to 10 per stack, which is where it used to actually be. And then Oboe, another carry build staple, having its attack speed reduced from 40 to 30%. And Void Shield getting a slight nerf. Decreased physical protections from 60 to 45 to discourage warrior jungling, to bring assassin jungles a little bit back into the forefront because they are in a pretty poor spot right now. So this should help them a little bit by discouraging the warrior play. Stone Cutting getting kind of a similar treatment. Decrease the physical protection buff from the item's passive from 7 to 5 per stack. You don't get as many prots, but it will shred the same amount of prots, still at 7% per stack. No worries there. Same logic. Wingblade is getting a health decrease from 250 to 200, even though there's a lot of niche uses for this item actually. So I don't know if this one needed to be nerfed. Charybdis fixed an issue where she was not getting the intended movement speed from a whirlpool. That was a known bug in the PTS. And Gilgamesh, they believe the nerfs have not been quite enough, so he's going to get a nerf to Winds of Shamash. Decrease wind while slow from 50 to 70% to 50% at all ranks. Cooldown has been increased from 90 to 110 seconds, since this is a big team fight ultimate, essentially. And of course those always get longer cooldowns because they affect a greater number of targets. Wade Dropkick has had its initial hit physical power decreased by 10%. Scaling and decrease burst hit when you hit another target with it is been reduced by 10% also. Heroes Advance decrease the vision range and the allies become buffed within from 150 to 110 seconds. Read up on that because I don't actually remember what that does. Anyway, Morgan Le Fay nerfs mostly, but anyway, let's get into that. I will explain that in a second. Increased cooldown from 12 to 13 seconds. The HP on the clone, though, has been increased from 10% of Morgan's to 30%, and its power has been increased from 50% of Morgan's to 75%. Clone was not really getting any use. It was basically one hit and it dies, essentially. So now it's going to stick around a little bit longer and be able to do slightly more damage. It was that part of its passive. Did not feel particularly strong. Stride of Wildfire increased cooldown from 13 to 14 seconds, and consuming power has had its decreased health per hit from 6 up to 14% to 6 to 10%. So you only get 1% more per rank versus 2. And Osiris has been a really good pick in jungle and solo right now. So Sickle Strike, increased cooldown by 1 second. Spirit Flail, same treatment. Persephone, close to balance, but they want to make sure she is right where they want her to be. So the flower's movement speed has been decreased by 10%. And then its bite damage is going from 40 to 200 to 40 to 180. So that's a reduction at higher ranks. Yamoja has been according to Hi-Rez, one of the most contested gods this season. And so Omi, her 10% healing bonus buff has been removed. And then River's Rebuke has had its cooldown increase from 120 seconds to 140 seconds, since this is such a really useful ability, cutting off teammates from each other so you can get picks, blocking objectives, and blocking any other choke points, etc. with that, since that's such a high value thing. Cooldown's been increased even more. And then Ymir's frostbite damage reduction has gone back to 10%. That's it for the bonus. But then we go to this one. Cleanliness versus Godliness, 8.9 update notes. Because they're leading with a Bologna made skin. And that just doesn't fit the character. I don't like that skin. Like, why? Why does every female god have to have a maid skin, you thirsty freaks? Anyway. Ua skin, M skin, blah, 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 blah. The Krang Xingqian looks really interesting. That'll be a funny one. Anyway. Skipping that, here's the release schedule. 8.8 bonus is going to be out on the 8th. Wait, they said 7th on the notes, whatever. This will be out September 21st with the stuff, and then bonus for that will be out then. Oh, Krang Xingqian is a Prime Gaming tie-in. And we don't get him until October 14th. Come on. Some QOL new conquest requirements. Level 30 required unchanged. You have to have 20 own gods, which is normal, but they have to be mastery level 2 instead of 1. And then you have to have 30 normal conquest games played. That's a big deal. That's a lot. Well, not a lot, but that's a good amount that people will at least have some idea of how to play the game. So you can't just go, if you have this, you can't go straight to rank. You got to actually play some conquest before you do that. Joust, similar things, but because it's 3v3, you only need 14 own gods with mastery level 2, and then the same 30 games played. Duel, no different. Players on PC will now be able to type /block player name to block a player while in match. You can also type block or /B to block the most recent player who whispered you. And then you can do the same with unblock. If fixed an issue where block players can still whisper. You cannot whisper a player you have blocked. Whatever. Shifter Shield and Blackthorn, 2 different colors for its 2 different effects when they're active. And then Embrace Your Radiance Sword that this relic creates now has a new mini-map icon. Then UI Odyssey things, don't care. Skip this. Let's see. Giles fixed an issue where the Bull Demon King was not playing global audio queue upon being slain. I noticed that before. Fixed an issue where lane mini AI was not working as intended in jungle practice mode only. Conquest fixed an issue where the Gold Fury special abilities could be avoided by placing a wall in front of them. And then a bunch of bug issues that I don't read because they're really long and don't always mean a whole lot. Okay, anyway, here's some assault quality changes. with a new feature called Healer Tiers. Healers will be assigned into tiers in Assault. If a team gets a healer, the other team will get a healer of the same tier. So no unbalanced healing where you've got Aphrodite on one side, but then you get Oleron for a healer, and then you're just out-healed. Healers are no longer allowed to be re-rolled by any player, but they can be traded because it has to be like this, so they don't allow you to re-roll it because it has to be healer of the same tier on both teams. Anyway, Tier 1 are big healers that are healing focused. We got Hel, Afro, and Yamoja. Tier 2 is gods that have good healing in their kit, but aren't necessarily entirely focused on that healing. Or, well, it's a part of their gameplay, a significant part of their gameplay, but not the main part. And then Tier 3, you have what I call Conditional Healers, which Oleron and Baron require you to... Baron requires you to hit damage an enemy god with it. Oleron, you have to be near the teammate that you use it on, and it doesn't heal that much. And then Cupid is... Well, you know, anybody could pick the hearts up and stuff. I mean, they could have put him in Tier 2, but because he's a hunter that happens to have healing, they, I think, put him down there. Anyway, here's a bunch of things and about how boots and such have affected the map. And the basic idea is that supports, and to a incredibly massive and greater extent, junglers are falling behind in experience significantly. They're going to do some things like decreasing the base XP, and scaling gold earned from killing minions, but buffing the XP you gain from jungle enemies like buff holders, minis, and harpies. Balance that out. And lowest level experience bonus is going to be increased, which is just a bonus. The lowest level on your team gets an increased bonus on sharing experience. That's intended to help supports mainly. Of course, that was introduced 3 seasons ago. I will not read the math. But anyway, they increased the bonus multiplier from 0.25 to 0.35. There you go. Speed buff, increased base movement speed bonus from 5 to 8% on the jungle buff initial spawn timers. This also will help people get to lane and get the most efficient amount of farm possible. Damage, mana, speed, and void camps are getting their spawn time moved up to 20 to 15 seconds of game time. Note, this is game time and not pre-game time. Support camp has had its spawn moved to 35 seconds to encourage people to not start with this camp, because that is not the intended use for that camp, especially since it doesn't give you good value at the beginning of the game anyway. Back harpy camps moved up from 25 to 20. Lane minions, oh, that's been decreased. You know, XP reward goes down to 5 to 4.3 per 3 minutes, and gold scaling goes 0.75 to 0.5 per 3. Swordsmen and brutes decrease base XP reward from 44 to 45 to 44. Archers decrease base XP reward from 25 to 24. And you get the idea. Yeah. Anyway, item balance. Belt of Frenzy, because it's not getting used a lot. Because they want to make things more enticing instead of everyone going beads every game, which is happening a lot. So increase attack speed buff from 15 to 25% on both of those. Heavenly Wings decrease cooldown from 140 to 120 on both of those. Horrific Emblem decrease cooldown from 130 to 110 seconds. Always remember that the upgrade to this makes enemies deal 20% less damage, I think. Magic Shell added the effect all allies take 20% reduced damage from basic attacks for the duration. Still has the same effect at 50% unchanged. Meditation Crow decreased cooldown from 160 to 140 on both, and on the upgrade, increased cooldown per tick from 0.5 to 1 seconds. Benevolence has been completely reworked as a entirely support-focused item that benefits your team in a slightly different way, which is these stats, which I think are probably the same. I don't remember if it had HP 5 though, actually. Anyway, the passive here, every second you are not near an ally god, you gain 1 stack of benevolence, stacking up to 50 times. For each assist, you gain 4 stacks while near a damaged ally. You spend stacks to restore yours and their health equal to 0.15% of your maximum health per stack. For each stack consumed, you gain 1 gold. So it still gives you, so you get a gold bonus for helping teammates by healing them. How nice. Anyway, Bumba Stacker now has 15 magical power and 10 physical power, because why not? They're going to buff all the jungle-based starters. That is the logic, as we talked about before, of junglers being in a bad spot. They're going to adjust a lot of their items too, to make them all better, which discourages other types of gods also from building those items. Although if you're playing Erlang Shen jungle, you're going to build the same items anyway, so it's not like... Some warrior jungles are going to benefit highly from these item changes too. But Osiris will not benefit as much because he functions a little bit differently from like Achilles or Erlang. They're more burst focused. He's not. So whatever. You get the idea. Warflag decreased stacks required to turn on bonus gold from 4 to 3. And they removed the power and added 10 physical and 10 magical protection. Still an aggressive item with the movement speed. Helps your team with a bonus gold, but no more playing Hercules and just killing everybody. Anyway, our run diet. Decrease the base damage from 40 to 20. Increase the physical power scaling from 30% to 40%. I believe that is... Yeah, when first striking a revealed target, that's after you've ulted, you get that passive effect, which is when first striking a revealed target, they take an additional 20 plus 40% of your physical power. Brawler's Beat Stick, increased physical power from 40 to 50. That's kind of silly, honestly, but, well, Jotun's has that too, so. Heartseeker, increased bonus damage from the item's passive from 2 to 5% to 3 to 6%. That is a reversion from before. Jotun's Wrath, we have decreased the cost from 2350 to 2200. Assassins, let's go. Build your stuff. The Crusher, increased physical power from 30 to 40. And the big one, increased physical power on Transcendence from 35 to 45. Because even though this item is good value, people still don't want it. So it's just like 10 extra power. Mainly for junglers. That's the intent. Anyway, Weelix is also going to get a buff. With that in mind, increased base damage on Summon Suku from 80 to 280 to 80 to 300. Moonlight Charge, and increased base damage from 90 to 250 to 90 to 290. Bacchus has had his cooldown on Belly Flop decreased from 16 down to 14. I think this is a pick rate thing here. I don't think he's getting picked top end as much as a lot of other Guardians are for support. So they've done that. Makes it easier it's a flexibility thing between engaging and poking. Bakasura has had a buff, increased CC immunity duration from 1 to 1.5 seconds, revert. Increased cone attack buff duration from 5 to 6 seconds, revert. And Chalk is getting a slight buff to help his late game effectiveness. To that end, your boy is getting a basic attack speed per level buff from 1 to 1.2. And then Torrent is having its cooldown decrease from 13 seconds at all ranks to 13 down to 9 seconds. More flexibility late game to deal damage and escape easier and deal more damage also. That's just supposed to help his late game do better. So this change is fine. This doesn't make him silly or anything. It's not a crazy like early game buff. It's not a completely insane buff to his 3, which is kind of an overstated ability, but whatever. Circle protection, increased damage mitigation, circle from 20 to 25 seconds. Revert Ganesh, decrease cooldown of Turn of Fate from 16 to 14 to 12 seconds. Because they want him to better consistently boost his team and also be able to poke more effectively. This is a incredibly bizarre change, and I'm actually going to read the whole explanation. Geb Cataclysm functions unlike nearly any ability in Smite, working entirely off current health to deal its damage. While unique, even the best case scenario for this ultimate saw it not quite as effective as other teamfight ultimates, and worst case scenarios fell far short. If you think about Ganesh ult, that you just kind of die to. Ability's kind of ridiculous. We are now making Cataclysm deal a base amount of damage and then deal additional damage based on current health. But wait before you think that's broken. We think this unique aspect is worth preserving, but this should help the ultimate feel impactful whenever it is used to have the extra oomph when it's used to start a fight. This ability now deals base damage in addition to percent health scaling. It will not have any magical, and they didn't finish, but I am very certain what they intended to say is it will not have any magical power scaling. Because if it did 15% of your current health plus this, plus power scaling, that would be a little silly. So it's exclusively base damage, which that part of the damage you can actually build against. So tankier gods will not feel this a whole lot. Your carries will probably feel this and be very upset. Anyway, and it now deals 15% current health damage exclusively, does not scale up in rank. And hell, this god has recently started showing up in the solo lane. Can one god create a healing meta on their own? No, because no. Hell is trying her best. We are applying a shift to Hell. The first change is to fix her kit to make her passive work the way the players have expected it to from the text. For some amount of time, Hell has only been healing herself for more in light stance, which will now be fixed to apply her healing of herself to or allies. However, as she is performing quite well, we are also decreasing this amount of healing she can gain. The final result will be that Hell will heal herself for less, but her allies for more. We will keep a close eye on this goddess for the future nerfs if needed, which is kind of, you know, how a healer should behave. Why should a god be able to heal itself more when it's so exclusively focused on healing? Yeah. Anyway, stance attunement fixed an issue where this was not providing Hell with increased healing to her allies while attuned to light stance. Decrease the amount of healing Hell provides to herself and allies and fully attuned to the light stance from 20 to 10%. Hu Yi is getting buffed by Mark of the Golden Crow is getting more increased damage per 10% of missing health from 1 to 5% to 3 to 7. Because why not buff the early game of that crazy thing? And the cooldown has been decreased from 18 seconds to 18 down to 14. So you will kill tanks, or you will kill people, dude. That's all I can really say about that. Horus has not found a good spot as a soul laner support this season, so they're gonna buff some stuff here. Updraft has been increased. Words are difficult. Increased bonus damage of the gust attack from 14 to 50 to 20 to 60. Protector surge increased healing from 50 to 250 to 70 to 250. I always felt like that it wasn't really potent enough healing for this. Sylvanas is getting a minor rework. Sylvanas has outgrown his RNG passive and something new has flourished. a passive that he is in direct control of. Nature's Bounty will spawn a seed pod whenever he hits an enemy with an ability or his abilities are deployed. For each seed he picks up, he will gain some mana and cooldown reduction to help him continue the fight. In super late game, this gets even further boosted to really help his team close out a game. Nature's Bounty, new passive. When Sylvanas abilities are deployed, a seed pod appears on that location. When Sylvanas picks up the seed pod, he restores 2.5% of his mana, as well as lowers his cooldowns by 1/4 of a second. At level 20, this cooldown reduction is increased to 1 second total. Always fun. RNG passives are kind of dumb, and yeah, that's probably a good idea to remove because they've removed pretty much all of them from the game. So I will take that change. It's also important to point out that Tsukuyomi's passive autos would proc this, even though it's supposed to be specifically melee autos, which means those are melee autos, and it's super weird. But that's gone now, so don't worry about it. Also, yeah, they never explained that Sylvanas' old passive would only root on melee autos. Ranged autos did not count. Which is really funny. But anyway, Uller is getting a buffed because he's not been the glorious one, I guess. Well, he can be quite strong if he can get the league. His late game left him underwhelming and on the lower performing end of most hunters this season. So, Bladed Arrow increased physical power scaling from 70 to 80%. Wheeled Axis, Wheel Bow increased attack speed on bow from 5 to 25 to 10 to 30%. Increased physical lifesteal on axe from 5 to 25 to 10 to 30%. See if that brings him back to the top. With that, speaking of back to the top, we are done with this round of update notes. Remember, bonus update will be out on the 7th because someone got the date wrong on that, and it's supposed to be Tuesday, which is the 7th, even though on here it says the 8th. And then this will be out on September 21st. So there you go. Like and subscribe if you guys enjoyed that. Leave a comment down below if you want. As always, check the helpful links down in the description. And I will see you guys next time for some more Smite. Have a good one.